This is the story of Katie Smith, a 28-year-old woman who went from teaching English in bright Seoul classrooms to clutching her newborn twins in a rain-soaked doorway, invisible to a city that had chewed her up and spit her out. This is about the night a Korean Mafia boss looked through his restaurant window and saw not a homeless woman but a queen without her crown. Welcome back, my wild souls and relentless dreamers. Before we slip into the shadows tonight, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from, what city, what country, what corner of the world is listening to this story right now. Your support keeps these tales of dangerous love and impossible choices alive, and I see every single one of you. So grab your headphones, find your favorite spot, turn down the lights, and let me take you to Seoul on the night everything changed. The restaurant window exploded inward. Katie didn't scream. She'd learned months ago that screaming in Seoul only made you more invisible. She curled her body over the twins, feeling glass spray across her back as men in expensive suits dove for cover inside Midnight Lotus, the most exclusive restaurant in Gangnam. Someone was shooting. Someone was always shooting in this neighborhood after midnight, but Katie had thought the restaurant doorway across the street would be safe, thought the overhang would keep the rain off her babies for just one night. She was wrong. Through the chaos, she heard a voice cut through the gunfire like a blade through silk. Korean words, sharp and absolute. The shooting stopped. Just stopped, as if someone had flipped a switch on violence itself. Katie looked up, rain streaming into her eyes, and saw him. Kang Min-jun stood in the middle of the street, glass crunching under his handmade Italian shoes, his black suit soaked through and clinging to his frame. He wasn't holding a gun. He didn't need to. The three men who'd been shooting at his restaurant were on their knees in the rain, heads bowed, waiting for judgment. Min-jun spoke again, quieter this time, and the men scattered into the night like rats. Then he turned and looked directly at Katie. She should have run. Every instinct she'd developed surviving Detroit, then surviving her ex-boyfriend's betrayal, then surviving 3 days postpartum with nowhere to go, all of it screamed at her to grab her babies and disappear. But baby Amara was crying, that desperate newborn wail that meant she was cold and hungry and scared, and Joshua was starting up too, and Katie's arms were shaking so badly she could barely hold them. Min-jun crossed the street. Up close, he was younger than she'd expected, maybe 34 or 35, with the kind of face that belonged in magazines except for his eyes. His eyes were old, ancient, like they'd seen too much and felt too little. "You're American," he said in perfect English. "Yes." Katie's voice cracked. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I was just trying to keep them dry, I'll go." "You have nowhere to go." It wasn't a question. Katie's throat closed up because he was right, and having someone see her, really see her after months of being invisible, after her ex Ji-hoon and his family had erased her like she'd never existed, after the shelter had told her 3 days was the maximum stay, after every door in Seoul had closed in her face, having someone actually look at her and acknowledge the truth was too much. "No," she whispered. "I don't." Min-jun looked at the twins, still wailing in their inadequate blankets. Katie had wrapped them in everything she owned, but everything she owned could fit in a backpack, and it wasn't enough. It was never enough. How old? 3 days. Min-jun's jaw tightened. He turned toward the restaurant where men in suits were emerging cautiously, checking for more threats. "Sung-ho," he called out, and a man with silver in his hair and a scar bisecting his left eyebrow jogged over. They spoke in rapid Korean, too fast for Katie to catch more than a few words. "Hospital. Doctor. Room." Sung-ho looked at Katie with undisguised suspicion, but he nodded and pulled out his phone. Min-jun turned back to her. "Can you walk?" "Yes, but I can't pay." "I didn't ask if you could pay. I asked if you could walk." Katie struggled to her feet, her body screaming in protest. 3 days postpartum was nothing. Her body was still bleeding, still healing from delivering twins without proper medical care because the hospital had wanted ID and insurance she didn't have. But she'd walk through worse pain. She'd walk through fire for her babies. "I can walk." Min-jun shed his suit jacket and wrapped it around the twins with surprising gentleness. The jacket probably cost more than Katie had earned in a month teaching English. It was immediately soaked, but it was warmer than her blankets, lined with silk and smelling like expensive cologne and rain. "Inside," he said, and it wasn't a request. Katie followed him into Midnight Lotus, acutely aware that she was dripping rainwater and probably blood onto marble floors, past tables with white tablecloths and crystal glasses. The other diners, the ones who hadn't fled during the shooting, stared at her with a mixture of disgust and curiosity. A homeless black woman with newborn twins, escorted by Kang Min-jun himself. She could practically hear the gossip starting. Min-jun led her to a private room in the back, all dark wood and paper screens. He gestured to a leather couch. Sit. Katie sat, her legs giving out more than obeying. Amara and Joshua had stopped crying, probably from exhaustion, and she could feel them breathing against her chest, tiny and fragile and hers. A woman appeared with towels and blankets, her face carefully neutral. Min-jun spoke to her in Korean, and she left, returning moments later with a tray of food. Soup, rice, banchan, enough food to feed 4 people. Eat, Min-jun said. I don't have money. If you say that one more time, I'm going to think you want to offend me. His voice was mild, but there was steel underneath. You're in my restaurant. You're under my protection. That means you eat. Katie stared at him, trying to understand what was happening. Men like him didn't help women like her. Men like him, with power radiating off them like heat, with the kind of authority that made gunmen kneel in the street, they didn't notice homeless women in doorways. But her babies needed her strong, and she couldn't be strong on an empty stomach. Katie picked up the spoon with shaking hands and started eating. The soup was the most delicious thing she'd ever tasted, or maybe she was just starving. She couldn't tell anymore. Min-jun watched her eat with an expression she couldn't decipher. After a moment, he sat across from her, his movements controlled and precise. What's your name? Katie. Katie Smith. How did you end up here, Katie Smith? The story spilled out between bites of food. How she'd come to Seoul 18 months ago to teach English, how she'd fallen in love with Ji-hoon Park, a businessman who'd promised her the world. How he'd been charming and attentive until she'd gotten pregnant. Then he'd disappeared, blocked her number, and when she'd found his family's address, his mother had called her a liar and a gold digger and threatened to have her deported if she ever came back. I thought I had time, Katie said, her voice hollow. I thought I could work until the babies came, save money, but I got too pregnant and the school let me go. Then the apartment went. Then everything went. I delivered them in a shelter bathroom 3 days ago because I was too scared to go to the hospital without insurance. She expected judgment. She'd seen it in every Korean face she'd encountered since Ji-hoon left. But Min-jun just listened, his dark eyes never leaving hers. Ji-hoon Park, he repeated. From the Gangnam parks? I don't know. Maybe. He never talked about his family much. Min-jun's expression hardened. I know them. His father owns hotels. His mother sits on charity boards and judges poor people for sport. He leaned forward. You're better off without him. I know, Katie said, and she meant it. But my babies deserved better than this. Your babies have you. That's more than most people get. The words hit Katie in the chest, unexpected and genuine. She looked down at Amara and Joshua, sleeping now, their tiny faces peaceful in a way that made her want to weep. A man in a white coat entered the room, carrying a medical bag. The doctor Min-jun had called. He examined the twins with gentle efficiency, speaking to Min-jun in Korean. Katie caught enough to understand they were underweight and mildly dehydrated but otherwise healthy. Miraculously, impossibly healthy. The doctor turned to Katie and switched to accented English. You did well. They're strong babies. But you need rest and food, and they need formula and proper care. Mr. Kang has arranged a place for you. I can't accept. Min-jun stood abruptly. Yes, you can. You will. He looked at the doctor. Make sure she's examined too. Everything she needs. He left before Katie could protest, the door sliding shut behind him with a soft click. The doctor smiled at her, the first genuinely kind expression she'd seen in weeks. He's a good man under all the sharp edges. Let him help you. Katie wanted to argue, wanted to maintain some shred of pride, but pride didn't feed babies or heal postpartum bodies. So she let the doctor examine her, let him give her antibiotics and pain medication, let him show her how to properly feed the twins with the formula that appeared as if by magic. When it was done, Sung-ho came to collect her. "I'll take you to the apartment," he said in careful English. "Boss's orders." The apartment was in a high-rise in Gangnam, the kind of building Katie had walked past 1,000 times and never imagined entering. Sung-ho used a keycard to access the penthouse floor, and Katie felt like she was dreaming as the elevator climbed higher and higher into the Seoul sky. The penthouse was modern and minimalist, all clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city. It had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen bigger than her old apartment, and a bathroom with a tub that could fit 4 people. "Mr. Kang said to tell you this is yours as long as you need it," Sung-ho said, setting down bags of baby supplies Katie hadn't even seen him carrying. "He'll come by tomorrow to check on you. Don't open the door for anyone else." Then he was gone, and Katie was alone with her babies in a penthouse that cost more per month than she'd earned in a year. She should have been suspicious. Should have been terrified. But exhaustion won over fear, and after feeding the twins and settling them in the bureau drawer she'd lined with blankets to make a bassinet, Katie ran a bath and sank into water hot enough to hurt. She cried in that bathtub, weeks of terror and pain and loneliness finally breaking through. But they were clean tears, the kind that washed things away instead of drowning you, and when she emerged, Katie felt human for the first time since Ji-hoon had abandoned her. Min-jun came the next morning carrying coffee and pastries from a bakery she'd once walked past, breathing in the smell of butter and chocolate and knowing she couldn't afford a single item. He was dressed casually, jeans and a black sweater that made him look younger, less dangerous. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "A little. Between feedings." Katie accepted the coffee gratefully. "Min-jun, I need to understand what's happening. Why are you doing this?" He was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the city. "My father died when I was 19. He was killed by men who wanted what he'd built, and I was too young and too weak to stop them. I had to become hard to survive, to take back what was mine. It's been 15 years, and I've done things I'm not proud of to keep my position." He turned to face her. "But last night, I looked through that window and saw you protecting those babies, and I remembered what it's like to actually feel something. I'm not a good man, Katie. But maybe helping you makes me less of a bad one." Katie understood loneliness when she heard it. "You're not as bad as you think. You don't know what I've done." "No, but I know what you're doing now. That counts for something." Min-jun smiled, and it transformed his face, made him look almost boyish. Naive American. Jaded Korean. He laughed, a real laugh, and Katie found herself smiling back. Over the following weeks, Min-jun visited daily. He brought supplies, hired a night nurse so Katie could sleep, taught her Korean while she taught him about Detroit and her grandmother's gospel songs and the particular pain of loving someone who couldn't love you back. He held Amara while Katie fed Joshua, and one evening she found him singing a Korean lullaby to them, his voice soft and surprisingly sweet. "You're good with them," Katie said from the doorway. Min-jun looked up, and the vulnerability in his expression made her breath catch. "I never thought I'd have this. Family. Softness. My world doesn't allow for it." Katie sat beside him on the couch, close enough to feel his warmth. "Maybe you're in the wrong world. It's the only world I know. Then learn a new one." He looked at her, and the air between them charged with electricity. "Katie. I know what you are," she said quietly. "I'm not stupid. I see the bodyguards, the way people look at you, the phone calls you take in the other room. You're dangerous. But you've also been kind to me and my children when you had no reason to be. That's who you are too." Min-jun reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and tucked a curl behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her cheek. "You make me want to be better." "Then be better." He kissed her, and it was nothing like Ji-hoon's kisses, which had been all performance and empty promises. Min-jun kissed her like she was precious, like she mattered, like he was afraid she might disappear if he held on too tight. Katie kissed him back, pouring months of loneliness and fear and desperate hope into it, and when they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "This is insane," Min-jun whispered. "I know. You should run from me." "I'm done running." They made love that night after the twins were asleep, slow and tender and real. Min-jun touched her like he was memorizing every curve, every scar, every stretch mark her babies had left behind. He whispered Korean words she didn't understand but felt in her bones, and Katie traced the tattoos on his back, the dragon that marked him as Kang family, and chose him anyway. But happiness in Min-jun's world was always temporary. Hwang Ji-won had been watching, waiting, building his case against Min-jun among the other lieutenants. A black American woman and her mixed babies, they were the perfect weakness to exploit. Ji-won whispered in the right ears, made the right promises, and slowly turned Min-jun's empire against him. The attack came on a Tuesday. Katie was home with the twins when Sung-ho burst through the door, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. "We have to go now." Ji-won made his move. "The warehouse is burning, and they're coming here next." Katie didn't ask questions. She grabbed the diaper bag, scooped up the twins, and ran. They made it to the parking garage before Ji-won's men found them. 5 men, all armed, blocking the exit. Sung-ho put himself between Katie and the guns, but they were outnumbered. "Where's Min-jun?" Ji-won emerged from behind his men, smiling like a shark. "Still at the warehouse, I hope. Busy burning." "You bastard," Sung-ho spat. "Ambitious bastard," Ji-won corrected. He looked at Katie with cold appraisal. "You're prettier than I expected." I can see why he got distracted. But Hyung never understood that power requires sacrifice. You can't rule if you're soft. And you can't rule if you're stupid, Min-jun's voice echoed through the garage. He appeared from the stairwell, battered and bloody but alive, with a dozen loyal men behind him. His eyes found Katie's, and relief flooded his face before rage took over. Ji-won. I should have seen this coming. You should have, Ji-won agreed, raising his gun. But you were too busy playing house with her. Everything happened at once. Ji-won fired. Min-jun dove. Sung-ho returned fire. The garage erupted into chaos, and Katie dropped to the ground, covering the twins with her body while bullets ricocheted off concrete. When the shooting stopped, Ji-won was on his knees, wounded but alive. His men were either dead or surrendering. Min-jun stood over him, gun trained on his former lieutenant's head. Give me one reason not to end you. Ji-won laughed, blood bubbling at his lips. Because you're soft now. She made you soft. Min-jun pulled the trigger. The shot echoed forever in the garage, and then it was over. Ji-won slumped forward, and Min-jun lowered his gun, his hand shaking. He walked to Katie, who was still on the ground, checked the twins frantically. Are you hurt? Are they hurt? We're okay. We're okay. Katie's voice was steady even though her whole body trembled. Min-jun, you're bleeding. I'm fine. He pulled her up, pulled all 3 of them into his arms, and held on like they were the only thing keeping him anchored to earth. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I put you in danger. No, Katie said fiercely. Ji-won did this. Not you. And we survived. You almost didn't. But we did. She pulled back to look at him, this beautiful, broken man who'd saved her from the rain. We did because we're stronger together. You're not soft, Min-jun. You're human. There's a difference. Sung-ho cleared his throat awkwardly. Boss, we need to move. Police will be here soon. Min-jun nodded, but he didn't let go of Katie's hand. The aftermath was brutal. Min-jun had to consolidate power, eliminate Ji-won's remaining supporters, and rebuild trust with his allies. It took 3 months of violence and negotiation and careful political maneuvering. Katie watched him transform from the gentleman who sang lullabies into the ruthless boss who ruled Gangnam's underworld with an iron fist. But every night, he came home to her. Every night, he shed the monster at the door and became human again with her and the twins. And slowly, carefully, he started transitioning his business toward legitimate enterprises. It was dangerous work, turning a criminal empire legal, but Katie helped him, using her business degree and her outsider's perspective to see opportunities he'd missed. They became partners in every sense of the word. 6 months after the night in the rain, they stood in a private garden surrounded by friends and family. Madame Kang was there, having grudgingly accepted that Katie made her son happy. Sung-ho held Joshua, cooing at the baby in Korean. And Min-jun and Katie exchanged vows in English and Korean, promising to love each other through storms and fire and everything in between. You know you're marrying a criminal, Min-jun whispered as they kissed. Katie smiled against his lips. You know you're marrying a woman who survived being homeless with twins in a foreign country. I think I'm the dangerous one. He laughed, really laughed, and pulled her closer. They walked through falling flower petals toward an uncertain but hopeful future, two broken people from different worlds who'd found home in each other. Katie had come to Seoul chasing a false promise of love and found real love in the last place she'd expected, in the dark eyes of a mafia boss who'd looked through rain-streaked glass and seen a queen. And if you're still here, if you've stayed with Katie and Min-jun through every twist and turn of their impossible love story, then you're part of this family too. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, drop a like to let me know you want more stories like this, and comment below telling me what you thought. Should I do a part 2? Do you want to see Katie and Min-jun navigate married life in the Korean underworld? Let me know because your comments shape which stories I tell next. Until next time, keep loving dangerously and dreaming fiercely. I'll see you in the next story.